Hey everyone, welcome to Past Lives and the Divine. I'm Gina, the host of this podcast, and today I'm sharing with you my most recent hypnosis session as the client. I would not call it a past life regression because we went what seemed like into the future again. I was on a red planet again. My intention for this session was to experience a life that would help me receive the love that is in my life today, but for whatever reason doesn't feel like love, or it doesn't nourish me like I feel like love should. It's something that I've noticed like in literally every relationship. And as someone who, if you listen to this podcast for years, I have changed so much in my life and have been on a continuous self-exploration journey. And in that, I have found one of the things that I found most recently in talk therapy was this awful feeling when someone tries to help me, when someone shows like tender care for me. It just honestly makes me feel like I want to run in the opposite direction. So as someone who can logically say, I know there's a lot of love in my life that I'm unable to receive, and working through that in talk therapy, the way I use hypnosis is if I can't kind of work through it on my own, learn something, read a book, talk about it in therapy, whatever, then I will take kind of these persistent, like core issues that have to do with my beliefs that are getting in the way or my point of view. And I love to take it into a past life regression or hypnosis to experience other lifetimes. And with that, it really helps me to essentially like feel what it feels like to be someone different. And that is just such an amazing, interesting feeling. And you'll hear it as this session goes on. I oftentimes, as the client in this session, I think I do it maybe 2 or 3 times, where I will say, oh, what's interesting is I'm having this reaction to this situation, but as Gina, I would be having a completely different reaction. And so to be able to literally walk a lifetime in someone else's shoes, whether it is my life or not, whether it's in the past, the future, I don't believe it's in the past or future. I think it's all happening at once. And I know for me, I don't know if it's because I naturally just observe people and find people very interesting, but for me to be able to have a full body experience that is completely different from my life as Gina is not only incredibly healing in that moment, it's very relaxing, it's very uplifting. And I truly believe and feel that when we go into our subconscious mind and access these memories or metaphors, if you don't believe in other lifetimes, that when we do that and we take a memory or a metaphor that was subconsciously hidden from us and we bring it to the conscious mind, and we not only bring it to the conscious mind by making ourselves aware of it, by accessing these memories with hypnosis, but it's almost like, I can't explain it, but it feels like a light switch gets turned on in my body. Like my body goes, oh, this is how we can react to this situation instead of this other way. And having another option and the memory of a lifetime where that full body experience was natural is something that just naturally gets turned on in me and naturally begins to unfold in ways that change my life, whether it's subtly, things that people can't see, but maybe I feel a world of difference, or maybe my life does look completely different, right? Who knows what we are uncovering? It's like these tiny, tiny shifts that we make to who we are, who we show up as in our life, who we are as we make decisions, big and small, in our life. And so we'll never know the impact of like one hypnosis session, one past life regression, experiencing another lifetime. But for me, sitting here, I'm listening to this, editing this file 1 week after this session, and I already feel different. A question I get a lot from listeners or from first-time clients is, how will I feel after? How do I know these changes are working, or what can I expect? And with hypnosis, because these changes are in the subconscious mind, all we do is go through the experience, and in the days and weeks afterward, watch as we change. Our bodies, our minds, our energetic field, our perception of life, all of these things are shifted just slightly in a hypnosis session. And that slight shift, again, it changes who we are and how we show up and how we are in relationships and the questions we ask and the opportunities that we take and the opportunities that we can actually see as for us or not. So even though it's a subtle difference, even though nothing might change externally in my life, feeling the love from someone who's like trying to care for me, who is trying to help me, is something that I want. It's something that I fucking deserve. And after a session like this, I feel like it's really shifted some things in me. Like I said, I'm only a week out. So for me personally, I see and learn so much about my life and life in general when I have time to like reflect and see how life has unfolded over a little bit more time than just a week. So I'm sure I'll come back and do an update episode on this. And with that in mind, if you listen to this and have questions about the session, maybe something I experienced brings up a question about something you experienced, I want to know. Let me know what your questions are in response to this session. When you listen to it, you can email me at Gina, Jina, at pastlivesandthedivine.com. It was interesting going into this session with the intention of being able to receive more of the love that's in my life. And even if it is just like bits and pieces and it's not like a whole deep, rich, long relationship. And the two biggest lessons were something that I was working on all of last year. I mean, I'll probably be working on it for the rest of my life, but intentionally I started working on it in 2023, was this idea of just healthy detachment. And it's like what I learned in this session was building on everything that I've been reading, learning, experiencing in the past year in trying to understand and embody what is healthy detachment in relationships, in loving relationships for me personally. And so we built on that with this really strong sense of self and a really like rigid, boundaried, strong sense, just this self-sovereignty. And I think even when I explain that, it doesn't feel right because it feels like super rigid, self-centered. And I right away think of the people in my life who have been in my life or in my orbit on some level, who are just very much like, what can I take from every single person? And this is all for me. And that's not at all. It was like, understand, honor, see yourself, take care of yourself. And that's not the end. It becomes selfish if that's the stopping part. It's not selfish if we use the energy, the nourishment, the inspiration that we get when we honor ourselves and see ourselves as these sovereign beings. It's from that space that we can then truly see and honor other people and what they need and what they want, even if it is totally different from us, which chances are it is probably different from us, even just slightly. And I thought that was really cool, just that idea of, being very about the self, but that's not the end point. That's where we start a good life, because it's from that we can really, truly see and honor other people after we've done it for ourselves. Yeah, I am very much still processing this. Like I said, I'm about a week out. Okay, so let me tell you about Karen. She is the hypnotist who facilitated this session. Karen is an alumni of the hypnotic arts training. I have that linked in the show notes, and I have all of Karen's links in the show notes. So at the very least, maybe click on social media, click on her website, say hi to her, schedule a session with her. I can't recommend Karen enough. Karen is an Akashic Records reader and a past life regression facilitator. Her journey with past life regression began with reading Dr. Brian Weiss's Many Lives, Many Masters, which I agree. That resonates with me. That resonates with so many listeners of the podcast who I've heard from. Karen quickly read all his books and found that one included a script in the back with encouragement to practice with friends. So she did. And several years later, she now guides clients to their past lives to find growth and healing. And you can find Karen on Instagram. Like I said, go say hi, book a session with Karen, check out what she offers. If you are brand new, if this is like one of the first or few episodes that you've listened to on Past Lives in the Divine, and you want to learn more, or maybe you've been listening for a while, but you don't listen to every episode, this was one of, I don't know now, I think I've had 4 lives that I've experienced on a red planet. They aren't the same lives. The majority of them seem to be kind of in the same lineage, question mark. I'm still trying to figure it all out. But if you're interested in learning more, my very first hypnosis session where I accessed a life on a red planet that felt like it was in the future. So if you listen to this and like it and want more, check out episode 171. That is a replay of the first session I had where I was on the red planet. And then episode 172, I give an update on that session where I am 3 years later. And I recorded that update one just a few months ago, so fall of 2023. And there was 3 years between that first session and then me doing an update episode. So check that out. That would be, if you're like, I want more, that would be the next thing that you might want to look into. And as always, if you are someone who is like, man, I would love to lead these sessions, or maybe you already are a hypnotist and want to expand, you want to expand into shadow work, entity removal, you want to learn even more about like the tricky shit that can happen in a past life regression, like a client being stuck in a black, a client going nowhere, a client spinning and being like, I don't experience anything but spinning. So if you want to dive deep into what it is to run these sessions, get the foundation and the skills to do that, we would love to have you in the Hypnotic Arts training. We just kicked off our cohort, the first one of this year. So if you're interested, click the link in the show notes and put yourself on that wait list, and you will be the first to know when we open up the next cohort, which we do one cohort in the beginning of the year this year, and we're going to do a second one in the second half of the year. So click that link, check it out, put your name on the list if you're interested. And then one more thing before we get started, if you're interested in just having more conversations about past life regression, about your own experiences when you travel these unseen realms, encountering spirit guides, ancestors, other lifetimes, all kinds of soul memories. If you want to have more discussions about that and have more opportunities for experiences like that, we'd love to have you in kinship this year. Registration is going to be open all year, most of the year. So if you go to pastlivesandthedivine.com, click on work with me, click on kinship, you can access information about that if it sounds interesting to you. Okay, everybody, are you ready? All right, let's do it. Gather around the fire for my latest hypnotic journey to another lifetime. It's really windy, and there's like dust being blown around like so much that it kind of hurts my eyes, like I'm having a hard time opening my eyes. I'm like looking into the sun, but it's so dusty that even the sun is very like dim, easy to look at. It's just the dust that makes like hard to see. Okay, but I have goggles, so I put my goggles on. Yeah, so now my eyes don't hurt, but I still can't see much.
And how do you feel about that with this dust blowing all around you? What do you feel about that?
I'm I'm in an area, I'm outside. I'm in an area where there's like different buildings and stuff. They're not super close together, but if when the wind's not blowing the dust, it's pretty easy to see where you can see everything. But I guess I feel kind of frustrated because I know I'm headed in the right direction to the building I want to go in because of where the sun is located, but it's like I'm not getting to the building. So I'm kind of second guessing myself. Oh, this building is home. So I work here, and I live here. It's kind of like everyone who lives here works here. And yeah, as much as I'm resisting it, I think I'm on a different planet again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the place I live, it's yeah, it's kind of this like just really different shape, structure, just like it looks like pieced together materials.
Are there people around you right now?
No, not right now, but and I'm kind of walking up the stairs to get to the door. For whatever reason, the door to this house, it's like I have to go up a whole flight of stairs. And I'm not with anyone, but I'm pretty sure I live here with someone. I'm a woman, but it's like gender doesn't really mean anything. Like we all dress the same, we all do the same work. I'm a woman, but it's very, very androgynous kind of feeling. And yeah, as I go in the door, then I go down a flight of steps to like get to the living area. It's so weird. And it's just like really tall windows, but it's like foggy glass kind of. I don't know if it is glass. And it's dark now. And I think I'm waiting for I think it's my romantic partner who lives with me. And so I'm just kind of waiting for him to come home.
What is it like inside? Do you have pets or plants, or how's that work?
It's really dark inside. So I'm at kind of a longer table and I'm reading and what I'm reading, oh man, I don't even know what I'm reading, but yeah, I don't know what I'm reading, but I'm not aware of any pets. Like if there's any, like maybe there's one, but just feels very cozy. I feel very content.
Mm-hmm. Anything else happening here you want to explore or move on to the next scene?
Yeah, it's just kind of this content feeling of I'm not even really waiting for him to get home. It's just like I'm really enjoying the moment. And there's this like knowledge that, oh, it'll just get better when he gets here. It's really, but I'm like not focused on it. It's very in the moment, very present, very cozy.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that stands out here? Any pictures on the wall or photos of people?
No, or not that I can see. It's just like a lot of mismatch, like um, materials.
Are you saying like the walls are made with mismatched materials? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's kind of what it looks like.
Hmm.
Like the whole structure just kind of looks like it looks like a tree fort, like just kind of like patched together. But being in it, it feels like a sturdy home being in it. But it looks very yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the material or what, but looks like it was built with scrap.
Mhm. And when you think about your partner, how would you describe that relationship or him? Can you pick up anything yet?
The first thing that came to mind was he's not as smart as me. I don't know why. So he's not as smart as me. And yeah, we're all kind of doing the same job. I think it's more of, yeah, just more of that work where we're trying to understand like the makeup of the planet or the land of the planet and seeing based on that, like if there's anything we can use it for. And it's a really slow job. And it's kind of like you dedicate your life to it. And so you get to know each other really well. And it's, I don't know, maybe like 100 people here. And yeah, I think I am good at my job and a leader at my job. And I really feel that. Like I have a lot of love for my romantic partner. And I can see how not smart he is compared to me, but it's like it's like I guess maybe as Gina, if I was paired with someone where I didn't think they were very smart, that would grow into resentment. And it doesn't. It's like this feeling of just like, oh, cute, but in like a loving way, not like a
Yeah.
patronizing way. Yeah, so I just people look. I don't know if I'm like the smartest one there, the oldest one there, or what, but um, yeah, we have a little bit different jobs, but yeah, it's kind of a dynamic where I'm definitely the leader, like professionally, and I think I'm like kind of I'm really confident about it.
Mhm. Do you have a memory of where you came from before this planet?
I I I just see I see this similar to Earth, but more dramatic of a landscape, and it's a planet that I've experienced before in other past life regressions and in my dreams at night. Um, and so I think it's like it's another life from that planet, or maybe even like in that lineage of explorers. But I feel pretty young, like to the point where maybe it's incredibly unique, like how far I've gone in my career based on just my age. And I think part of that was like willingness to leave home, that planet, so early, and like natural talent in whatever work exactly I'm doing.
I wanted to ask back at the home, if you were to look at yourself, do you look human like in our current day?
Mm. Yeah, definitely like a human. Head is maybe a little bigger, but I've got like short red hair.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to the next significant scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to count from 3 to 1. You'll move to the next significant scene. You can move forward or backward in a past life. 3, just relaxed where you are. 2, deeper and deeper. And 1, you're at the next significant scene in this life. And tell me what you're aware of here.
So I'm in my kitchen in my house again, except it's morning and the light is coming in through the windows, and it's this really pretty light. And I'm sitting on the counter and I'm like eating something out of a bowl. I don't know. I don't know what it is, some kind of breakfast out of a bowl. And my romantic partner is there. And I think it's just the next morning, because we're kind of laughing about how late he was at work. And I am so, I don't know, confident, well defined in my work there, that and my role in our relationship and like what our relationship is, that like him being at work super late isn't something that like, it doesn't bother me. I'm not like trying to help him fix whatever has got him late at work. I just want to know the story because I think it's like, I think he's funny, but it sounds mean because I also don't think he's very smart. But I just really appreciate who he is. But I'm not like trying to fix him or assuming that he's looking for a fix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this really relaxed way of, yeah, of being.
And when you look at him or sense his energy, does he remind you of anyone here in our present life?
Like, yes and no, because it's so, I'm at a point in my life. This is not the truth, but my perception of life right now is like so many dudes are just struggling in general, and they're just not smart, or they haven't been like taught the right things or whatever. And I find that in my life as Gina, I'm just at this heightened space where I just have no, I can't be in that struggling energy without assuming the man isn't expecting my help. It seems like he is, but even if that is my perception. So I think that's what also sticks out about this, is that I'm in a space in my life right now where I would be so resentful and annoyed of someone who was like, of a man, particularly a romantic interest, who was like slow or not super smart. Where to me, it's just in this kitchen, sitting on this counter, talking to him about his night last night. I'm not even assuming he's asking for my help. And so I guess it's more so, it's almost like he does remind me of so many people, but he also doesn't, because I'm having such a different reaction to him.
Mm-hmm. And what's your partner's name in that lifetime? Can you sense the name?
It starts with an A-B. I don't know if it's like Abel or Abe,
Yeah.
something like that.
How about your name? Can you sense your name in that life?
Hmm. I'm just getting the letter C, but I don't know if it's like a CC, or if it's just C, if people call me by like the initial, just C.
Mm-hmm. So you're here eating breakfast out of a bowl. Your partner and you are laughing about him being up late or arriving home late from work. What happens next?
I put my bowl in the sink and just go up the flight of stairs and grab my jacket and whatever I need for work, and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's windy again. I think it's like a season, like a seasonal thing where we are. So I'm just walking back in the direction that I was coming from yesterday, toward the the building that I work in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when I get there, um, I right away go to the back of the building, and I guess I get into like I don't know, some kind of like truck or ATV thing, and I think I'm like driving to a place where people are digging and stuff like that. So it's just like a regular work day.
Mhm. Do you want to stay here and explore some more or go to the next significant scene?
Well, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Again, I'll count from 3 to 1, and you'll be at the next significant scene in this life. 3, 2, and 1. You're at the next significant scene, and tell me what you sense here.
It's nighttime. I'm by a fire. It's not windy. It's like super calm, pitch black outside. I'm not at home, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know, a few hundred feet from home. Like I could see it if it was light out, but I can't see it.
Mhm. Is anyone with you?
No.
Why are you there by the fire alone at night?
So it's like I just feel this heaviness in my heart, and like something happened that is making me feel really sad. And it's almost like this thing happened that's making me sad, and it's going to change my life. And I don't know if it, I don't, and maybe it'll be clear, maybe it doesn't matter, I guess, but I don't know if someone important to me left my life, is what it feels like. I don't necessarily think it was my romantic partner, but I don't know if it was like maybe a mentor had left, like their time there was done. So I won't see him again. Yeah, so it feels like it's interesting because I'm sitting by this fire and I'm intentionally alone. And it's like I'm just kind of in the pain cave of this is the first moments of the rest of the way life will be. And overall it's still good, but I'm going to be missing this person. And it's really this feeling of ritual around it. I don't necessarily get the sense that I'm unique in terms of this behavior in this population that I'm with on this planet, but it's ritualistic where it's almost like even my romantic partner knows like this is a painful time for me, me in that life. And like because it's painful for me, it's painful for them, but they know that I can move through it. And it's like almost like an expectation of the population is like, oh, we know that you'll be emotionally hurt by this. And so there is an expectation that I take care of that, but not like in a waspy Midwest way where it's like, take care of that, sweep it under the rug. And it's like, go scream into the void, go burn something, go do something, like do something with this energy. And it's just matter of fact. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just out there being by the fire and just yeah, letting my mind wander and just feeling the hurt. And it goes into something I've been thinking about in my life is Gina, where like the equal and opposite is always true and is wisdom capacity. And so to know more love, more joy, do I have to know more grief and pain? And can I look at it a different way and just say that life is grief and pain? And through that, we have the ability to experience the equal and opposite joy and love. And that's almost like what this is showing me, where it's not about not feeling pain, it's about knowing that the pain will come and knowing what I need to move through it when it happens. instead of focusing on prevention. Because that, even if that did work at one point, that's not where I'm at right now. Yeah, long story short, I'm sitting by a fire.
And what kind of time frame is this that the population has expectations of one moving through this grief? Is it like an evening? Is it like give that person a week, or how's that work?
Mm, yeah, interesting. It's almost like it's not, it is a societal expectation, but more so, it's because it's something that blooms naturally. Like we're all naturally, we know enough about our emotions to know, like, oh, this is how we recycle them. It's like sewage management today versus sewage management 200 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
except it's with our emotions. And so, yeah. And so instead of it being like, yeah, which is what it would feel like today. If someone said that to me today, it would be like, you got to clean this up. You can't be doing this. And instead, it's more like people expect it just because that's how we do it. Just like every time I flush the toilet, it just happens. And yes, society would want me to flush the toilet, but even more so I do. And so, yeah, it's like that. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they are emotionally in tune and advanced compared to our current world.
Yeah, yeah, in tune for sure.
So what happens next with this fire?
So, yeah, I was just in it, very present. And then all of a sudden, I could feel, yeah, just kind of the first, pre-dawn light, just like the beautiful light that comes like the hour before sunrise. And it's almost like yeah, just like can't believe I was up all night, but also feel like a lot lighter. It's like the sadness is there, but I feel so much lighter, just like sinking into it all night and just kind of being in that liminal space.
What happens next now that morning has risen?
I went back into, oh, I'm walking back to the house and I see him, my romantic partner. Um, he's like standing outside on the ground out of the house. And he's just standing there, like with his hands on his hips, looking at me. And it's so crazy because if I was Gina out all night, even if I was in a ritual and someone had that posture and I was walking toward them, I'd be like, oh, I'm in trouble. But like the thought never even crosses my mind. And instead, I see him and it's like I can just feel like his sadness. Like he was up all night worried about me. And as Gina, I would be like, what a waste. Go to bed. Fuck. Why were you up all night? But it's like I'm seeing that caring again as I'm actually feeling it as love. As in my life as Gina, to feel someone's care can often feel like patronizing or I don't know, whatever. But so it's interesting to feel this and feel his care not as a judgment against me and my capabilities, but feel his care as love. And it's like, it just feels really good.
Yeah. Just sit with that and let that sink in.
Yeah, it's like this sweetness that I'm like, I don't know, it feels so weird to say it out loud, but it's like a sweetness that I really appreciate and a sweetness that feels like love, as opposed to a sweetness that feels like, I don't know, a judgment against who I am or what I'm capable of. Wow, it's so nice.
And this relationship between the two of you seems so different than a relationship here in our current day.
Yeah, for me anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
I guess I've discovered through other healing modalities too that like a block for me is when someone offers care or wants to offer help, it just makes me feel like they can see a weakness that I don't want them to see, and it just doesn't feel good. And so, when it's there, I block it. And in this one, I'm just taking it for what it's worth. And I'm so solidly grounded in who I am that who he is, his posture, the way he works, how smart he is or isn't, it has nothing to do with me. And I think logically that's something I would agree with. But the way I operate, the way I feel, or my emotional reactions kind of imply otherwise, that I don't feel that way. So it's kind of like this relationship between the two of us is closing that loop. Because for me, it's not only you're doing this for me, Gina, you could do this better, or you're doing this incorrectly, but then to feel like, oh, that's what that feels like. Oh, to be someone with an automatic reaction of seeing sweetness and caring and someone being tender with me, like where I can truly receive that as love, even though they're probably trying to give it to me as love all the time. But to be someone who just naturally feels that, it's like, oh, that, and that's how I do it. Okay. So, like, need to do it a different way, and this is how.
All right, so I'll count from 3 to 1, and you'll be at the next significant scene in this life. 3, 2, and 1, and you're at the next significant scene. And tell me what you're aware of here.
So I am like super old looking. Like my hair is white. I have a ton of wrinkles, but I move like I'm still doing the same job. Not, I don't know if it's the same job. I don't really know what I was doing, but I'm still at that place on that planet, still working whatever we're doing. And yeah, it's like it's like a version of a really old woman that it's just interesting to see. Like her outfit, the outfit that I'm wearing is very, very rugged. Like I still move very smoothly, very well, and yeah, still very sharp mentally.
So, where are you in this scene?
I'm at like a work site. It's dusty and windy, and I just got done. I think I'm visiting like people who are younger who maybe just got here. I don't know how often new people come, but it's just kind of like these regular old person thoughts of like these kids aren't what they used to be, it's just that kind of bullshit that we all hate and then we all do. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Like I have love for them, but I'm just like, God damn, like come on.
What happens next?
So it's like the end of the workday, and I go home, and my home is a little bit different, and I don't live there with anyone, but I feel like now I do have like a pet with me, but I just get a sense of like a being that's kind of like on the floor to the side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just sitting in this chair. Yeah, it's like I'm just kind of thinking about these younger kids, and then it made me think about like how long I've been here. And I was even younger than they were when I came over. And I'm just thinking about life and how even the romantic partner I had in the last couple scenes, it's like he's not there anymore. I've in my mind, I've had a couple other romantic partners since then. So it's been like just this really long, long life that even though the work kind of seems big, the day to day of it is pretty monotonous. And, it's a small life. We're all on the same area, the same planet. But it just always felt so good. Yeah, it's like I'm having these end of life reflections.
Yeah. And let's move to that death scene.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just float up and land in that death scene the last day, just before you leave your body, before the soul leaves the body. And tell me, where are you now?
Well, it's like I had a choice. I knew that I was getting old enough where the journey back to the home planet would be the journey there, the journey back. Like it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing, but they will do a journey back. Like if you're go there so young like me, and then you're there for so long, if you want to like live out the last few years of your life, you can go back. And so I had this decision to make, like, do I go back or do I stay? And it's like I want to stay so bad. Part of me wants to go back, but that's essentially a world I don't know anymore. I want to stay. But it's almost like I have this shake in my confidence of, the unknown of what's my health going to be like. I don't want to be, dealing with something that is a toll on this community. So, yeah, it's almost like I really waffled over that decision for a long time. And eventually I think I took the adventure of it and decided to go back to the planet that I spent like the first, I don't know, 16 years of my life on, 14 years. And so the way to die there, one of the ways that you can die is to, and I've done it before on this planet, is to be like in this little bubble floaty thing, and you get into it and you just kind of are rocked out of your body.
And you're what out of your body?
Just like rocked out of your body, like your
Oh,
soul is just kind of like rocked out of your body. And then eventually the ocean like takes your body, but my soul is gone.
and so you're here. That's what you decide to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as you float above this body, are you floating above the body, your soul now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What lessons did you learn in this life?
To take the adventure,
Hmm.
to do the thing that seems scary, but if I want to do it and it seems scary, there's probably a way I could do it and not die.
Mm-hmm.
And in that is just like this presence and confidence and richness of life. And from that space, it's so much easier to just see people as they are. And in that, not be overly worried about like how they feel or how they're doing or and what that means for me. Like I really lived in that life as like a total sovereign being. And I think a lot of people, when we think of that, we think, well, we make other people feel bad, we're self-centered. But it was like I was doing it in a way where I really saw and felt myself as a sovereign being. And in doing that, I saw and felt that about everybody. And so my romantic partner wasn't annoying because he was slow and couldn't figure it out fast enough. It was just like, that's just who he is. Like, and that's totally him. It has nothing to do with me. It doesn't mean anything. And it's just this very, yeah, really healthy detachment, but coming from really honoring and seeing like being a sovereign being.
Beautiful. Really something to strive for.
Yeah, oh my God. No kidding.
So, with the soul departing from the body, we're just going to float up. You're going to float higher and higher away from that scene. And as you do, we'll show gratitude and thankfulness to all those involved in that life, all the lessons that were learned, all the experiences that were experienced, and our hearts are full of gratitude. Mine for you sharing it, and yours for the experience of it. And floating higher and higher, we'll go toward a place of spiritual guidance. And here we have a question for your spirit guides, your higher self. The first question I have is, why was Gina shown this lifetime at this time?
To awaken the memory of what it's like to not only believe that we are all sovereign beings, but to actually live that way, make decisions that way, and have emotional reactions that affirm that as well. And in that, when we have all of our power, when we are inhabiting and present in who we are and what we need, that's where all the magic is. That's where we find the people who truly love us. That's where we fall even deeper in love with ourselves. Even if you're someone who is influenced by paranormal things like ghosts, entities, malevolent beings, again, it's like if we know our power, if we know the sovereign beings that we are, even in that space, like even in these unseen realms, we're always being pushed to, yeah, like be who we are, live like you are that sovereign being, and then start to eventually have the emotional reactions in alignment with that. And to be able to like see that and feel that unfold naturally in the mind and body through this life was, yeah, it's kind of connected dots in that realm for sure.
And so the next question I have for Gina's spirit guide, higher self, even in spaces that aren't intentionally toxic, how can Gina receive love? Be open to receiving love.
Ah, yeah, okay, so it's what I just said, all of that, like being a sovereign being, knowing that, all of it. Because in that space, it's in that space, that presence, that knowing that we're a sovereign being. From that space, we can kind of monitor energetic exchanges and meaning, maybe we used to get a lot from a job and now we give a lot more than we get and it's killing us, mentally, physically, logically, or not. Then we can make that decision there. We can see that energetic balance. And the same is true with relationships, like in an unintentionally toxic situation. Part of the reason it might be toxic is because one person's giving and the other person never gives, or Maybe someone has a problem receiving and someone's overgiving. But either way, when we're in that space of sovereignty, presence, fully inhabiting who we are, it's in that present moment that we can go, is this exchange worth it? And then in an unintentionally toxic situation, if it's not worth it, we can leave it. Or if it's a situation where it's hard to leave, or we can't leave yet, or we don't know if we ever want to leave it for whatever reason, we can dig a little bit deeper into the nuance of that energetic exchange and say, what am I getting? What am I giving? And how can I adjust this? If they're only giving me one thing, no matter what I ask for, what can I adjust on what I'm giving so it feels more balanced, more like a right-sized energetic exchange?
Beautiful.
There it is. That is our episode for today. Thanks again, Karen, for facilitating this session. And if you liked Karen's style, make sure to click the link in the show notes and check out her work. Shoot me an email, again, Gina@pastlivesandthedivine.com, if you have any questions about this. Just like every hypnosis session, the actual experience was so much richer than the words coming out of my mouth, even to the point where at the beginning, if you remember when I first went into my home, it was a flight of stairs up, and then I went into the door and it was a flight of stairs down. And that was because like the sand that was being blown and the dust or whatever, dust or sand that was being blown, was almost like tidal around the whole planet. And so sometimes the sand that would be being blown around, I feel so funny saying this, the sand being blown around, depending on the season on this planet, would be so deep that it would just be a few steps up. It wouldn't feel like a flight of stairs to get to the door. It would just be a few steps up. But on the inside, of course, it was always a flight of stairs to get down. But I thought it was so interesting. And another thing, I have seen this home before. Like it's come in spontaneously just when I think about life on a red planet and the other lives I've experienced before I experienced this one. And it's always this really cool feeling about that home. I could talk forever about it. Let me know your questions. Send me an email. I'd love to hear. It takes me a little bit, a few days, maybe a week or something to get back every once in a while, but I do get back to you. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Take anything that makes your load feel lighter and just leave the rest.